tracing the evolution of Waqf institution in contemporary context, I would like to invite my respected teacher, Professor Dr. Tahir Mansoori, Vice President, Retired International Islamic University, Islamabad. Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Honorable Dr. Chairman of Session, Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Basha, and distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum. At the outset, I would like to thank Global Institute of Global Center of Islamic Thought for giving me the opportunity to be here, to participate in this conference, and to share my views on the role of Waqf in the socio-economic development and the issues facing Waqf establishment or Waqf institution in Pakistan. You are aware that Waqf is an Islamic social finance institution, has played a very significant role in the socio-economic development of Muslim society and in enhancing the well-being of the human society throughout Islamic history, right from the period of attainments of Holy Prophet until Mughal era and even today in many Muslim countries, this institution is working and it has been activated and revitalized, especially in Malaysia. Waqf is a dedication of certain property in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for some charitable purpose by detailing its principle or by keeping its principles and spending its proceeds in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for some charitable purpose, for philanthropic or religious purpose. This is briefly the concept of it. And this work derives its legitimacy from a number of Quranic verses and ahadith of Holy Prophet which emphasize infaq fi sabilillah, which emphasize qarz hasan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, man dha alladhi yuqridu Allah qardan hasana, which emphasize sadaqah jariyah, continued and sustainable charity. There is a hadith of Holy Prophet which says that إِذَا مَاتَ إِبْنُ آدَمَ إِنْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا لِثَلَاثٍ, that when the son of Adam, when a person individual dies, all his acts and deeds are discontinued, they come to an end, except for three things. The first one is a sadaqah jariyah. What is sadaqah jariyah? Sadaqah jariyah is a sustainable charity, a charity whose benefits continue forever. This is a sadaqah jariyah, and obviously Waqf is a sadaqah jariyah. Sadaqatun jariyah wa ilmun yuntafa'u bihi wa waladun salihun yad'u. Knowledge, beneficial knowledge, and the son who supplicates or makes dua for the deceased person. The specific hadith which provides legitimacy of the creation of Waqf is the hadith of Hazrat Umar Razila. Dr. Badruddin is also a scholar of Sharia and he knows very well. There is a hadith narrated by Hazrat Umar Razila. The hadith says, Hazrat Umar Razila, he approached Holy Prophet and he asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I have acquired a land in Khyber, and this is the most precious and valuable land which I have ever acquired. What is your command about it? Holy Prophet said that in shi'ta habasta aslaha wa tasaddaqta biha. If you want, you may keep its corpus, its body, detain its body, and make sadaqah or make charity of its proceeds. In shi'ta حبست أصلها وتصدقت بها. So Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu anhu, then he made the waqf of this property and this other tribal on the condition that it will not be disposed of, it will not be sold, it will not be gifted, it will not be inherited. And he said that this is a waqf for al-fuqara, al-masakin, al-yatama, the orphans, ibn sabil, fi sabilillah. I mean, a number of, and he designated or he outlined a number of beneficiaries. So this hadith has outlined the distinct characteristics of waqf. What are the distinct characteristics of waqf? The first thing is that the waqf property moves from the property from ownership of the dedicator to the ownership of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, one may ask, that everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does it mean that the ownership has been transferred to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Actually, this is a metaphor. It is a metaphor. It only means that the waqif or the dedicator is no longer owner of this property. This property and this right has been relinquished. This is the meaning of it. So it means that the property has been transferred. Another thing is a perpetuity or permanence. It means that once we have made waqf, it is a forever. It benefits are forever, for generations and generations, forever. Everlasting benefits. This is the meaning of perpetuity. Another thing is irrevocability. It means that once you have made waqf, you can't revoke it. You can't take it back. It cannot come back to your ownership. And another thing is that it should be some pious purpose. The act of disobedience cannot be subject matter of waqf. And keep in mind that waqf is not restricted to religious purposes. And even the philanthropic purposes, they can be subject matter of waqf. In all the social welfare, therefore, in this context, waqf, in its scope, the scope of waqf is far broader than the scope of zakat, because in zakat the beneficiaries have been designated, whereas in waqf you can spend on these beneficiaries as well as on the social welfare and the social welfare works and many other things. Another thing which I want to emphasize is that Islamic civilization is not a civilization of iddikhar, saving. Islamic civilization is a civilization of infaq. I repeat it in what I want to say. I say that Islam emphasizes spending, infaq, not the saving. If you look into the Quran, you will find that only one verse is about saving. تزرعون 7 سنين دأبا فما حصدتم فذروا في سنبله. يعني in the qissa of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. In one verse, and it was in special circumstances, in case of famine, drought. One verse about the saving. All verses they speak about spending in the way of subhanahu wa ta'ala. And look, for example, Ayatul Kursi starts with infaq. Next ruku, مثل الذين ينفقون أموالا في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة. Then next ruku, يا أيها الذين كلوا من طيبات أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم وما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم. Then come. So in this way, you will find that the whole emphasis is on infaq, and this is one thing. Another thing, what is the conduct of companions of Holy Prophet? Look at the Madani society or the Madani civilization. And after migration, the first step, this is an evolution of what? The first step was sharing the food. An-nahd fi ta'am. You know what is an-nahd fi ta'am? In sharing your resources. And for example, if you have one loaf of bread, cut it into pieces, keep half with you and for you and for your family, and the other half to your brother. This was a nahr fi ta'am, and it was and this is a sharing of resources. Share everything. And this has been emphasized in the hadith of, and there is a hadith, Holy Prophet says, إِنَّ الْأَشْعَرِيِّينَ إِذَا أَرْمَلُوا فِي الْغَزْوِ أَوْ نَفَرَ طَعَامُ عِيَالٍ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ جمعوا ما بينهم في ثوب واحد ثم اقتسموا بينهم بالسوية أنا منهم وهم مني. What is the meaning of this? Holy Prophet says that the Ashari tribe, their product was that whenever they ran short of food and in military expeditions, or their dependents they ran short of food provision in Medina, what they would do, they would gather, they would gather all what they had, and the food which they had, then they would put in one cloth, and then they distribute among all the people equally. Holy Prophet praised. He said, "Ana minhum wa hum minni. Ana minhum wa hum minni." I belong to them, and they belong to me. I am from them, and they. It means they share your. And for example, if you have one loaf of bread, give one to your brother, and one part keep for yourself. If you have one glass of milk, half give to your brother and half you keep. And this was the conduct. Then we move next stage. Next stage was that restrict yourself to essential necessities. Essential necessities. Don't go beyond that. Don't go beyond that. There is a hadith which says, "Man kana lahu fadlu dhahrin falya'ud bi ala man la dhahra lahu. Man kana lahu fadlu zadin falya'ud bi man la zada lahu. Wa man kana." Abu Sa'id Khudri radhiyallahu anhu says that فذكر من أصناف المال ما ذكر حتى ظننا أنه لا حق لنا في فضله. And I want you to see that what Holy Prophet says. He says that whoever has an extra amount means extra right. Okay, जिसके पास ज़रूरत से ज़ायद सवारी हो, he should return to the one who does not have amount. If someone has extra food, he should return it to the one who does not have. If someone has house extra, he should give. Abu Sa'id Khudri, the narrator of this hadith, he said, فَذَكَرَ مِنْ أَصْنَافِ الْمَالِ مَا ذَكَرَ. That Holy Prophet mentioned many kinds of provisions and assets and property, until we thought that whatever is beyond our essential need does not belong to us. حتى ظننا أنه لا حق لنا في فضله. कि जो भी हमारी ज़रूरत से ज़ायद है वो तो हमारा है ही नहीं, वो तो दूसरे का है. Now, Dr. Badruddin, and if you see, what are the words that we use? The word is فَلْيَعُدْ بِهِ إِعَادَةً. It is not that you give. I'ada means return. It means that originally it belonged to your needy brother. Return it to him. فَلْيَعُدْ بِهِ. And there the word i'ada has been used. It means that whatever is beyond your essential need, give it to your brother. So this was the second stage. And third stage started. The third stage started after Ghazwa Khaybar. After Ghazwa Khaybar, many Sahaba, they acquired land, everything as a result of conquest. So this was a period of affluence. Now Sahaba Ikram did not make banks for deposits or for savings and piling up and accumulating the wealth. What they did? Every Sahabi made a wealth. Every Sahabi. This is said that every Sahabi made a wealth. It means why? Because they were trained in the University of Holy Prophet ﷺ. They were trained in infaq, they were trained in sacrifice for the others, for Isa. So what they did then, and so much so, that when the verse was revealed, that you cannot achieve the heights of virtue till you spend out of the thing which you love the most. Abu Talha Raziallahu anhu, he said, "Oh Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I have a garden, palm tree, date trees. I love it most. I give it in the way of Subhanallah." Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "No, your relatives make a work, but made this a work for your poor relatives." So this was a work for your something. So what I am saying that we cannot find the concept of. That is why I say this is a social finance. This is not our contemporary finance where you are accumulating wealth, augmenting wealth, and all this thing. So this is not our banking system. And where you pile up, you accumulate your augment your all these things, and you are not doing anything. And unfortunately, I will tell you that Islamic banks, Islamic financial institutions, they have zero contribution in the well-being of the society. Zero contribution. They do not contribute at all. Why? Because the basic concept or mindset is different. Here is a capitalistic mind that you have to augment that. Yes, this is a Sharia compliant method. But what I am saying that Waqf is the true reflection of the spirit of Islam. True reflection. And the Ottoman Empire, they activated, they vitalized it, they institutionalized it, they gave it a legal framework. So much so, they created work for everything. For everything. And it means that when a person is born inside the work, raised inside the work, gets education inside the work, dies inside, gets married inside the work, then it means, what does it mean? And it was said that in Turkey, in Ottoman Empire or Caliphate, a person was born in Waqf. He was married in Waqf, he was employed in Waqf, he died in Waqf. What does it mean? For everything there was a Waqf. Everything there was a Waqf. For facilitating marriage, for employment, for everything. So much so, there is a thesis of Dr. Qubaisi, Al-Waqf fi Sharia Islami, in 2 volumes. He says that there was a bartano ka waqf, waqf of utensils. Waqf. There was written waqf of utensils, which are used in house. What does it mean? It was written there, this is the waqf for those servants, workers who work in the house, and some utensil is broken from them, and they are rebuked or punished by the employer. So before they do this, bring this broken weapon with you, bring this weapon, and take, another utensil from us. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि बर्तन की यानी आप जो है वो उसकी इज्जत नफ्स की तहफ़्फ़ुज़ का, यानी देखा जाए तो ये एक किस्म का वक़्फ़ था इज्जत नफ्स की तहफ़्फ़ुज़ का, कि ताकि मतलब ये कि वो जो उसकी मतलब ये कि बाल निकाल के हमारे उससे जो डांटे नहीं, यानी in a way this was a waqf for the self-respect and for the human dignity, and I am saying that they activated in such a way. So now what is the situation in Pakistan? Briefly, I can touch upon it. In Mughal era, Waqf was not only for religious purposes, but all it has an instrument of social welfare, almost in all regions in the world. But when in British rule, they reduced it or relegated it to a very secondary status. It means they confined it to religious purposes. It means that the whole its role as a socio-economic development institution, it was eliminated. It was restricted to what? Restricted to masajid, madaris, and shrines, that kind. 3 things. That's all. So that the Waqf could not play its historical role. Now I'll tell you what is the situation in Pakistan. And I have taken a data of Punjab, which is the largest province of Pakistan. the land, the value of land in Pakistan, yani the value of waqf property in Punjab is around 1.3 trillion rupees. 1.3 trillion rupees. Whereas the income generated from it is hardly 2.64 billion. 2.64 billion. And out of this amount, 66% goes to management. Managers, administrators, officers, traveling allowances, they are staying in the hotel, they are all. 66% goes to them. These are only 10% on social welfare. Some vocational centers for women or all this thing. The remaining 24 is on mosques, their imam, their salaries. Again, there are about 437 mosques under the control of Punjab and 548 shrines that gone in Punjab. Now, for the maintenance of these shrines, all these things, this amount is spent on it, but no role in the socio-economic, not in education, not in health, not in vocational, as defined in Malaysia. I mean, to speak on what in front of Malaysian people, I mean, this seems to be very, what you call it, for us this is very embarrassing. But what I'm saying that we could not reactivate, revitalize work, or we cannot restore to work its historical role, which was a role in the socio-economic development. Now, around 36,000 acres, 36,000 acres, so in hectares में कितनी जो बनती होगी, this is 2.6 जनम वो एक हेक्टर के मतलब 2 acre जो बनते हैं. I am saying that a vast area of waqf land is barren lands, unutilized. No one utilized. The remaining lands, they have been occupied by illegal occupants. कब्जा माफिया जिसको हम लागू करते हैं, ठीक है जी, वो the government, the legal framework does not provide any protection to work. Even a low-ranking officer can, by simple notification, can take control of the work, their property or something like that. So what I am saying that this is necessary that these hurdles and these legal hurdles, administrative hurdles be removed so that the work could play its historical role, which was prevalent in throughout the Islamic history. So this is about the work.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and engaging presentation and your dedication and expertise in the domain of Islamic law, especially about Islamic business law, commercial law. And likewise, it is notable. We are truly, sir, that was truly inspiring for us, and we are grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. And sir has contributed not only in terms of formation of human capital in domain of Islamic law. What we are speaking, there is the behind all efforts of our respected sir and our respected mentors who put their efforts, and we are able to speak about Islamic law. Sir has contributed in terms of books, Islamic law business transaction, that is translated in Malaysia and Indonesia as well, and the part of your curriculum as well. All over the globe, that is being acknowledged, and that had been already acknowledged. And sir has also written legal maxims in Islamic law business contract as well. That is also notable, and it is revised with new versions as well. And sir has also contributed a book of family law according to Islamic norms, and likewise in Arabic, al-Bulugh al-Islamiyya, likewise in Urdu, Maqasid al-Sharia, the series of books. So that's why I can say that our respected sir is all-rounder, not only in teaching, rather practically he is providing consultancy, Sharia advisory to different institutions. So that's why I would like to appreciate him. Okay, now we are moving to our panel discussion. So if I talk about panel discussion, so our title is Comparative Case Studies, Legal Harmonization Efforts in Pakistan, Malaysia and Nigeria. Okay, before moving to this panel discussion, we have another online presentation from International Islamic University, Malaysia, Professor Dr. 𝐒𝐻𝐚𝐿. Her topic is harmonization of waqf law, mitigating the gap and minimizing the misconception towards a new narrative of waqf in Malaysia. So I would like to invite Professor Dr. 𝐒𝐻𝐚𝐿 from International Islamic University, Malaysia.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a privilege for me to be able to deliver a keynote speech at the first Global Summit on Harmonization of Sharia and Law 2024. I wish also to record my heartfelt appreciation to the organizing committee, especially to Dr. Hafiz and Brother Bilal, for initiating the very important event in discussing the issues related to harmonization of Sharia and law. Ladies and gentlemen, I was asked to speak on the issues with regard to harmonization of Waqf law and policy, and inshallah, in the very limited hours given or limited minutes given to me, I will share some information about the harmonization of Waqf law, mitigating the gap and minimizing the misconception towards a new narrative of Waqf in Malaysia. So I'm Professor Dr. Nur Asia Muhammad from the Civil Law Department, Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah of Law. The objective of my presentation is basically to provide some justification for the harmonization of Waqf law, especially in order to facilitate the new expectation and new narrative of Waqf development nowadays, not only in Malaysia but also in other parts of the world, and also to analyze the meaning and scope of harmonization, and to determine some areas of harmonization, to identify the provision on laws or provision of laws relating to Waqf which are contrary to Islamic principle, and to recommend for some possible area of harmonization and the challenges. So, as you can see from the states, the maps of Malaysia. So in Malaysia we have 14 states where each state has its own jurisdiction or powers with regard to matters pertaining to Islam, adat, personal laws, land. So with this background, we know that we have differences. Okay, we may have or we have differences with regard to some of the laws relating to wakaf. And also, Malaysia has its unique background with regard to the law, where we refer to Islam, we apply adat, we have our local laws, which is enactment, and we act, and we still have traces of English law, and also we need to consider the multiracial and multi-religious group being the dominant or group in Malaysia. So what are the justifications for harmonization? Why do we need harmonization? Okay, so one of the important reasons is because if you look at the areas related to wakaf, which is part of the Islamic social finance, there are a lot of development in the industry. Okay, so in order to meet this new expectation in the industry, we have to consider to revise, review, and amend or remove some laws. So that is one of the process of harmonization. And another reason is because we are Muslim country and majority Muslim country, then of course we have to conform to the Islamic principle, and of course we want to make Islam as a way of life. So there's a demand for Sharia compliant policy, approaches, products, and its application in all matters, including law. And we are also consider of removing some legal obstacle when in the process of Islamization of the law. For example, there are some provision in the banking sector, contract, or land even, which are still having some provision which may be considered as un-Islamic. For example, in the past we have provision with regard to interest or riba, and we have provision in which the matters pertaining to Sharia will still be deliberated by the civil court, for example. So we have to make some amendment to the law, and having the background of 14 states, and knowing that in Malaysia we have the we hold firm to Shafi'i school with some consideration of other mazhab. So there may be situation where in order to meet the expectation, we may need to consider other mazhab, other views from other mazhab, and we may have differences in terms of fatwas in Islam is under the jurisdiction of each state. So we may have differences in terms of fatwa. So under certain situation, we may need to harmonize the fatwa, the principles that we pull from the mazhab, in order to make the law more clear, more approachable and friendly to the people. Okay? So that's some of the justification. Okay, now let's look at the harmonization itself. Okay, so before the process of harmonization, it was known as Islamization, okay, or Islamicization. Okay? So according to Al-Faruqi, Islamization involves Islamization of modern knowledge to recasting knowledge as how Islam relates to it. And Al-Faruqi believes that to Islamize knowledge, therefore we have to redefine, we have to reorder the data, to rethink the reasoning, and to relate the data, to evaluate the conclusion, to reproject. So these are some of the process. So it means that when we see Islamization, it is actually about to in agreement with another, or to make one thing harmonious with another. So in the context of law, the harmonization is focused on the harmonization of civil law, which generally refers to positive law and the body of rules, and Sharia, which refers to the authority of both revelation and reason. So harmonization of law basically in the current context of discussion is about the harmonization of civil law and Sharia. So in Arabic, harmonization is called talfiq. Okay. There are actually previous discussion or literatures about the harmonization process or Islamization process. Okay, so it is actually involve how an Islamic respond to the supremacy and domination of the Western paradigm of knowledge and style of life. So if we look at the Western paradigm of knowledge, it is somehow ignore the question of values or perhaps do not give priority to the values and ethics. Okay, and of course, we as a Muslim, we always value values and ethics as one of the important element or foundation of our principles or whatever that we do in our life. Okay, and when we see harmonization, also it is about a methodology, okay, a method to approach knowledge from the Islamic viewpoint. Okay, and it is also about a process of depositivization and dematerialization of contemporary Western philosophy of knowledge, stressing the need for balance between science and conscience, reason and revelation, and religion and politics. So this is about how we look at it. So it is again about a process. Okay? And it is about renewing the theories and methods of dealing with Quran, Sunnah, Islamic heritage, and contemporary Western knowledge. Okay? And harmonization also involves reconstructing the Islamic heritage, showing its relevance in the contemporary milieu. And also it is a body of general values and virtues that need to be taught, disseminated, and inculcated within the Islamic general learning environment. And it is also about a process of reconciliation or harmonization between Western knowledge and Islamic principles and theory. It is about a process of inculcating Islamic ethical, moral, and spiritual injunction into the personality and well-being of individual and group, and also a process of reviving the qualities of adil, including bringing up individuals with qualities like holistic vision, critical and analytical abilities, ethical orientation, leading to the formation of new ideas in various branches of knowledge. So this is, in the past we can see that the literatures describe what harmonization is all about. So it is basically a process that involves re-evaluation, assessment of data between Islam and the Western concept of knowledge. Okay, so let's go a little bit more focus on harmonization of Waqaf law in Malaysia. So basically, the methodology of harmonization of Waqaf law in Malaysia is to avoid conflict with civil law of trust, and to minimize differences between states and mazhab, and to facilitate the current development in Islamic social finance like cash waqaf, corporate waqaf, temporary waqaf. So this is why we need to harmonize the law. We need to consider to harmonize the law, whether to adopt, to remove, to reject, and etc. Okay, so how it is done? So we have to find the relevant authorities, okay, whether based on Quran, Hadith, Ijtihad, regarding a particular issue. Let's say it is about temporary waqaf, so we have to look at whether we have the principle in Islam, and we will see whether there is a conflict between the Sharia and civil in the context of current contemporary application. Whether the conflict is between state, between differences or views of the mazhab. In other words, we try to see whether there are really conflict. Okay, so in the absence of direct verse, So we have to ascertain the views of the jurists. So if we can't find then the Quran and Hadith, then we have to ascertain, we have to look at the views of the jurists, whether we look at the old groups of the Muslim jurists or the contemporary views of the Muslim jurists in, for example, in Alfi Fiqh Academy or the National Fatwa. And if there is none, okay, therefore we have to propose for a fatwa, and if when the fatwa is adopted, created, then we have to adopt, and we adopt it either as part of law or we adopt it as part of policy, for example. Okay, and in doing this, in this process, we have to consider a few important areas. Okay, so what we want to harmonize is basically about the differences of some of the provision in the Wakaf enactment. For example, again, not all states having similar provisions, so there are some differences to perhaps we would like to see whether these differences need to be standardized in order to make it more clearer. And we have to analyze what extent the current practice or new practice are in conformity of Sharia. So this is another consideration in the process of harmonization. And if there is, then we have to propose for revision, amendment, deletion, or introducing new law. Okay, what are the priorities in the process of harmonization? Okay, we know that it is a very positive initiative, but still we have to have certain priorities. Okay, because in order to change law, okay, to change only the law, custom, or practices that are contrary to the express dictate of Allah. So this is our priority. We want to avoid, we want to minimize the differences of the current practice with Sharia. So we want to conform to the Islamic principle. Okay, so that is the first priority. And of course, we have to acknowledge that not all legal changes are necessary. Okay, so sometimes improvement can be done through other means, such as creating a kind of in-house policy guidelines. Okay, in order, as long as we can reflect as Islam as a way of life. Okay, and of course, Islam is a sensitive issue, and of course there are other considerations as well as we discussed earlier. Being a multiracial countries, then we have some other consideration. So we need to ensure that we exercise this jurisdiction properly. Okay, with delegates. Okay. Alright, so before I end, I would like to recommend that if we want to do a process of harmonization, okay, which we prefer the term harmonization, so we have to have a special committee, especially at the national level, especially in the context of Malaysia, where we have 14 states, so there should be a special committee so that it is a process that is continuous, okay, sustainable. Okay, and of course awareness and education is very important. Then we propose that a syllabus on Islamization or harmonization must be taught as part of the harmonization, sustainability, and relevancy. And as a guideline, okay, as a whole, there should be a Sharia index, okay, that must be prepared as a guideline to be implemented by all to ensure a comprehensive action is adopted or employed by all agencies and industries in Malaysia. So with that note, wabillahi taufiq, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
So let's have you respected Professor Dr. for a very insightful presentation on Waqf. And now I would like to invite questions from your side to our respected presenters. If you are having any question on Waqf, you may ask, please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Mohammed Javed. I am ex-president of Shira Islam, Islamabad chapter, and I am a member of Central Executive Council of Shira Islam, Pakistan. Currently, I am working as Director in the Ministry of Law and Justice, Islamabad. Very impressive lecture by the Dr. Tahe on Waqf. But I have just one question. That first of all, we must know that who is the owner of this land or natural resources? Can individual person, be owner of the land and all natural resources? Because if you see in Pakistan, if you see the landlords having the biggest piece of lands, they are the followers of British, elites at that time. So it was not equally divided between the population. That's why there is discrepancies in different populations. Poverty is increasing in Pakistan. If you see the poverty, usually we measure the poverty through PMT, proxy being test. So if a person is earning rupees 200 or less than 200, that is comes in the poverty. So if you see the poverty in Pakistan, that is around 30%. If you see in Sindh and Balochistan, that is about 40%. So this inequality in the division or in the distribution of natural resources can solve the poverty alleviation or the poverty other problems, other issues like this one. If I just quote the example of Russia and China, they have the socialism and communism, and they have equally divided the natural resources between the population. That's my question.
Okay, please ask the question in compact words so that we can meet maximum questions. Okay.
This is a very, very significant and very sensitive and very thought-provoking question in which you have raised. I think that we should have done the same as India did after independence. I mean, they cut that beyond this. It means that they fix or determine an upper limit, which means now, there is no justification of having thousands of acres and which are unutilized, and you are using these lands as a power center to reach the parliament. I'm saying, and I'm with you. What you have said and what you have not said, what you have stated and what you have not stated, I agree with you. I think that there is no justification that a person, an individual has, say, 80,000 acres, one has this much, all this thing. And this is an obstacle in the, redistribution or justifiable, equitable distribution of wealth. Islam emphasizes equitable distribution of wealth. I tell you one thing, that in Medina, there were Hazrat Usman Ghani Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, there were Hazrat Abdurrahman bin Auf, there were Hazrat Abu Hurairah Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Like living standard of all these people, they were one and the same, so that the other person does not feel deprived and he does not have the sense of depravity. I think that this is the root cause. This should be addressed. This should be no justification at all. Because Holy Prophet ﷺ says that man kana lahu ardun falyazra aw liyamnaha li akhiya. If someone has land, he should cultivate it. Cannot cultivate, give it to your brother. That's why Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, he took away the land from Hazrat Bilal Muzani Raziyallahu Ta'ala. He said that you were given a land in Khaybar, what you did up till now you haven't cultivated. He said this means that this is my ownership. No, this is the ownership of the whole community. You took it away and gave it. So I am saying that unutilized resources, they should be taken over by the state. And there should be equitable justice. I can say more than this, but this forum does not allow.
That's really interesting. Now I would like to ask the next question, please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Malik Said. I am head of Department of Peria College, Islamabad, Cambridge. In just continuity of this discussion, I would like to get some ideas what strategies the Waqf department can use to develop the revenue which can be collected from the Waqf properties, and how that revenue can be used to modify or to develop the system of in our country to remove poverty and to help their livelihood. How can we use this?
Okay, I'll develop it.
Specific.
Yes.
The thing is that the work property is the most vulnerable property. It means that even a low-ranking official of work department can, by simple notification, hold of that property. It means that you do not have legal protection for it. That's why the people do not come to work. Work are not created. This is the one thing. Legal framework is not conducive or compatible, does not support or does not facilitate creation of work. This is the one thing. Another thing is that work property is undervalued, underpriced. And what does it mean? It means that, a thekedar, you say that Data Darbar or Bari Imam is given on theka. Given its actual daily income would be more than the theka which you have given for a whole year. In Lahore, many commercial lands, the rates the rental which you receive, they go back to say 10, 20 years back there. And it means that the minimum rental you charge for it. Then Kabza Mafia, all these things. So I'm saying that these hurdles and then the machinery, the executive or the management, I think that it should be aligned with the spirit of the. As I have given you the example, that 66% of the first thing is that this is the not real revenue. This is not the real revenue, which I have told you. In real revenue, that this is 2.2 billion or something like that, and 60%, 65% is a management cost and all this thing. I am saying that its actual revenue is much higher than what you receive and take all this thing. So I am saying that this needs overhauling, legal overhauling, administrative overhauling, ये सारी चीजें, और इस तस्वर को खत्म करें कि जनाब only for shrines or for all this thing. No. Waqf is like a khuwat. Waqf is like microfinance institution. Waqf is like ED trust. Waqf is like इस तरीके से आप इसको एक endowment बनाएं, not the religious. Religious is one part. असल में ये social welfare है. आप scholarships अगर बच्चों को आपने देनी है, आप जो है उसमें skill development करनी है, entrepreneurship आपने जो करनी है वगैरह वगैरह, this all can be done under the umbrella of Waqf. So this is the problem.
Okay, mashallah, questioning is always appreciated by professional forums. As our beloved Prophet says, Aswalu miftahul ilm, questioning is key to knowledge. But due to constraints of time, we are deferring a few questions till the end of this panel discussion, what we are going to have right now. So by keeping our honorable three guests there on stage, I would like to add a few more names. Like I would like to invite Dr. 𝐒𝐚𝐫 Ibrahim to come on stage. Dr. 𝐒𝐚𝐫 Ibrahim. I would like to invite Professor Dr. Syed Anwar Shah Sahab from School of Economics, 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐫𝐦𝐻 University, Islamabad, to participate in our panel discussion as well. I would like to invite Dr. Tajul Arish bin Ahmad Bustami to join us as a part of our panel discussion, please. I would like to add here Dr. Afrida Abbas to join our panel discussion, and for insight on topic, Dr. Afrida Abbas. The title of this panel discussion is Comparative Case Studies, Legal Harmonization Efforts in Pakistan, Malaysia and Nigeria. So the question usually what you are asking, these should also be covered after this panel discussion. Now, I would like to put this question and this topic, comparative case studies, legal harmonization efforts in Pakistan, Malaysia and harmonization. So first I would like to request there Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal to start this panel discussion. Then inshallah one by one we will move on. Okay. And to have I almost 3 to 4 minutes.
Can I wait here because I have this? Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you so much. And my dear colleagues, professors, first and foremost, I have to say that I feel very honored to be given this opportunity for the invitations of attending this, what will be a very meaningful and event organized by the organizers, and I really thank you for your hospitality and kindness. This is the first time I have this experience in Pakistan. I have 3 minutes. I think this is just for the introduction. And first time in Pakistan, and my professors, just now we had a small conversation. I told him that surprisingly, yesterday I met my cousins and also my niece, which I've been told all the while that my grandfather, his name is Gulab Shah, is from Mansehra. I never take it very seriously until recently when my uncle told me that if you go to Pakistan, try to find them. And mashallah, yesterday I had the opportunity of meeting them. So now I have half of my blood Pakistani. That's why I was called Said. I do not know that I'm a Said Shah because in Malaysia that is something which is very rare to be used. Thank you very much. My topic of discussions, well, wallahi, after listening to all the discussions, especially by the professors and also the opening remarks by the Chief Justice of the Pakistani Sharia Court, His Honor Said Muhammad Anwar, I think. Yeah. I had a completely different understandings of the word harmonizations now, or at least I will say that there are many dimensions of the meaning of harmonizations. All the while I've been what I understood by the word harmonization is a process of producing a pleasing combinations between 2 or 3 things. But after listening to the speech, it's very clear that his Honor is having a different dimensions of the word harmonizations, where according to him, harmonizations is something which has got to be considered, to say, from my own interpretations, meaning to say that is something which is not welcome. And I can understand that, and the topic of my presentation is actually on the latest developments in Malaysian courts related to issues of some elements of Sharia or Islamic law, and also the laws, the positive law of the country, which for that matter means the common law of England. Like in Pakistan also, we have our unfortunate past experience of being colonized by the British, and when they left, some of the influences are very strong. And for that matter, in Malaysia, the law, the basic law, are, especially in criminal law, is the English law. And you see and this is also very interesting after listening to the speech of many of our friends, especially the Justice Muhammad Anwar, Said Anwar. He was actually telling that the preamble of the constitutions of Pakistan says that Islam is the grand norm, is the law of the land. And for that matter, if I relate that with the penal code, and I was told that the penal code of Pakistan is in pari materia of that of the Malaysian penal code, which means that we share the same spirit of the penal code, and for that matter, in some matters, the same sections. Yeah, both are British. So I was asking, I asked His Honor just now, so that penal code, how do you actually relate that with the grand norm of the Pakistani constitution? So you consider that penal code as an Islamic code, Islamic penal code. So I get a very interesting explanations, of course, very briefly, and I need to get these discussions with the experts further, especially those involved in the decision-making process. What I'm saying is that, yeah, you can see that the penal code is considered to be not a problem to the preamble and the grand norm of the Pakistani constitution. So for that matter, it is considered to be Islamic. But in Malaysia, the same penal code, to many of the Muslims, still considered to be un-Islamic. So this is very interesting. The same but different approaches, understanding, interpretations between the two jurisdictions. So this is what I would like to investigate, explore, and to learn from our colleagues, especially the experts in Pakistan. So, okay, basically what I'm actually trying to share with you is, when it comes to Islamic law and also civil, for that matter, the common law, then of course we will be facing a lot of challenges. It's not easy. And for that matter, even in Malaysia, we have the Article 3 of the Constitutions, which clearly states that Islam is the religion of the federations, but still we need a good interpretation as what is the meaning of the word Islam as the religions of federation, is Malaysia an Islamic state, and so on. And for that matter, the challenges, especially in the recent developments in Malaysian courts, we have some elements of Sharia in our legal system, and for that matter, I don't have enough time to explain every single details, but but now you have like challenges in the sense that some elements of the laws that we have within the Sharia state enactment are now being challenged in the civil court for being unconstitutional, especially with regards to its interpretations from the perspective of human rights. Because in the constitution, I believe in Pakistan, it's also the same thing, recognizing the rights of every citizen, Muslim, non-Muslims alike, of course, very important. And for that matter, when we say that, say for example, like the relationship between man and man, okay, is of course unacceptable, and for that matter is an offense. But that matter is now being challenged in the civil court by saying that this is against human rights. I see the problems that we are having now. So we have that Sharia enactment offense, criminal law of criminal offenses enactment in the country. But now there is a strong movement from among the lawyers for justice and human rights activists, and some of them are Muslims also, are saying that this is against human rights, because which one is greater, that enactment or the constitution? Of course, the constitution. This is the challenges. We never had this before. We have it now. So what I think, what is important is, after listening and also investigating as Muslims, what we need is, at the end of the day, knowledge. We have to have a knowledge. We have to have experience. And also the most important thing is carefulness, diligence, consciousness, and also experience and exposure. That's why I think this meeting like this is absolutely very important and enormously contributive towards better understanding. We can share the difficulties and the challenges that we are facing, Pakistan and Malaysia. And for that matter, we can deal with these problems in a manner which is not controversial, which is not confrontational, but from intelligence and, intelligence arguments, in order to counter the demand and also the protest from among of some who are Islamic law phobia, who are not happy with anything related to Islam. So we can do that with a confrontational. We can walk on the street and making takbir, and then, you can cause chaos. But at the same time, we need someone who can sit down and intelligently, deal with this matter. And this is what we needed. we need. So thank you very much. It's already 3.5 minutes, I know. And I feel honored to be given this opportunity. Yes.
Introduction minutes I have skipped.
Thank you so much. Thank you very
So
much.
nice of you and your comments, and especially with underpinned foundation with the legal matrix on the topic. Now I would like to invite Dr. 𝐒𝐚𝐫𝐦𝐻𝐚 to extend the same theme and to talk about insights on the topic harmonization of Sharia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I do not want to waste my time for the introduction. It's enough for Dr. Iqbal just now do the introduction. Okay, the topic that I'm going to present is actually harmonizing Sharia principles on debt recovery practices of Islamic banks with regulations related to authorized debt management agency. It's a mouthful topic. So to cut it short, to make it simple, what I'm talking about is actually, it is normal for any Islamic banks or conventional banks to have default customers. So how the bank and how the system actually would like to solve this problem. So that is actually my topic. So a bit on the background. We know that in Malaysia we have dual banking system whereby it's covered conventional and Islamic banking. And to operate Islamic banking and conventional, we have the central bank, okay, who issues the guidelines to for both conventional and Islamic. So the Islamic banking practices in Malaysia is similar, like you are playing a cricket in a squash court. Can you imagine that? Because for Islamic banking, we can go further. But due to the framework, due to the regulations that issued by the central bank, we cannot go further. So we have to work within the court. Okay, all right. Okay, come back to my topic. It's on the debt recovery. Okay, whenever we talk about debt recovery, it actually means that whenever a customer of a bank is actually missing in areas that he cannot pay the monthly installment, the monthly payment, or maybe like he defaulted already. Okay, and then from Islamic perspective, we know that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 280, the verse is وَإِنْ كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ فَنَظِرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ وَأَنْ تَصَدَّقُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِنْ كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. I think you know the meaning of the verse, right? But we cannot expect that the bank will do the sadaqah to the customers. All right, so that's why the central bank had issued some regulations related to this credit risk or this actually debt recovery practices. So the Central Bank of Malaysia has issued a policy document on credit risk, okay, in 2023, whereby it regulates the internal credit management program or process in the bank, within the bank. What we are concerned now is actually how the customer could be helped, okay, in order to settle his debts, okay, towards the bank. Okay, before 2023, in 2006, the central bank has established an agency, okay, whereby this agency is actually would like to help this potential default customer, okay, to settle his debts with the banks. So the agency names Credit Counseling and Debt Management Agency, which I short form it as AKPK. All right. Unfortunately, the same agency actually serve for both these customer of Islamic banking as customer of conventional banking. So you would expect that the regulation related to debt management also cover both. Okay, and you still remember my analogy just now, playing a cricket in a squash court. All right. Okay. Okay, what is this debt management program that actually organized by this AKPK? Is actually this AKPK, this agency, okay, it assists and rearrange, okay, the debts of the customer. So if let's say the customer having a Islamic finance with an Well, in here, I think that Islamic bank will be at Mizan Bank. What is an Islamic bank? And then, well, do you have a commercial bank over here? Yeah. So if I say this particular Abu Bakr, have, let's say, a loan from a commercial bank, and then also an Islamic finance from a Mizan bank. So this agency would consolidate his financial obligation under conventional as well as Islamic. So that's why this is actually the conflict between actually the Islamic banking as well as conventional banking. Because the AKPK or this agency will may consolidate whatever his financial obligation, either it is actually with Islamic banks or it's conventional banks. Okay. And then under that payment plan, okay, proposed by the agency for the customer, okay, it actually may involve new tenure and then new installment amount. So that lead us to what are actually the issues related to this. Okay, first, say it's involved rescheduling and restructuring. As for rescheduling, there is no much issue about it, as long as it is actually involved the same amount and it is but with a longer tenure. But we know that in Malaysia, for Islamic finance, most of the underlying contract for, let's say, if someone would like to own a house, own shop lots, for instance, we have the so-called murabaha contract, we have the so-called the tawarru contract, okay, which what I mean is actually is an sale-based contract. And we know that when we have there's a sale-based contract, the contracted amount is settled. So we cannot have a different amount. So for rescheduling, it doesn't matter because it's involved the same amount, but it's lengthened the period. But unfortunately, that recovery plan also may include a restructuring of his debt, of the customer's debt, whereby it involves new amounts. Okay, if we have a contract that like a sale for this particular bottle, for instance, this is how much? What? 10 rupee? 20 rupee? Sorry, I have no idea about how much is the bottle. But can we just change the price? Okay, initially I sold to my friend, okay, this I sold to you 50 rupee. And then suddenly, hey, I want to change it to 100 rupee. We cannot do that, right? Because we have agreed in advance. So that is actually the potential conflicts issues between the practice and the Sharia. Alright, so in our finding, Alhamdulillah, we noticed that the Sharia Advisory Council of the Central Bank has allowed the so-called concept of 𝐒𝐚𝐫𝐦𝐻. What actually means that you replace one debt with another debt. Okay, of course, there are certain conditions put up by the SAC or the Sharia Advisory Council. I cannot mention it because my time is almost up. So it allows 𝐒𝐚𝐫𝐦𝐻 for restructuring, whereby the Islamic bank can replace with another contract, right? And from our research as well, we know that the agency actually allows the banks, okay, the banks to have their own agreement, and at each Islamic banks they have their own Sharia committee who's going to look into the agreement to ensure that the debt recovery plan proposed by the agency will be Sharia compliance. I think that's come to my end. Allahu a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Abdul Rahman, for your insightful comments and presentation on the topic. Really, you covered diversified aspect of this specific topic. Now, I would like to invite my respected teacher, Professor Dr. Anwar Shah Sahab from School of Economics, 𝐒𝐻𝐴𝐚 University. He is not only teacher, rather he is working with different organizations, and likewise he is having different drives to help students and contributing to uplift society from different perspectives. So please, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you so much for providing me this opportunity. I will try to confine my talk just to one point. Dr. Tahir Mansouri, who is our respected teacher, he has highlighted the importance of waqf. Waqf is like, just in simple words, just we have saving like a personal saving. So if we keep a saving part of the society and that saving remain intact and the earning is used for the welfare of the society, so at the level of this saving will keep multiplying. So we can think that how much benefit it will have for the society. So as I was going to ask this question from my respected teacher, but I am now putting this in front of the audience. So this is the organizer is Global Center for Legal Thought. So I would like this organizer and this organization, because the efforts are going on. Dr. Saab has highlighted that, the role has been confined to just religious aspect and the socio-economic has been taken out. So now we have, for example from Malaysia or Nigeria or Turkey. So it means that there must be some documentary work prevailing, or even it is possible that our parliament might have done some work to pass, some act. Because if we have to change the legal framework, the 0 point is parliament. It means that we need to draft an act and lobby with the people who are sitting in parliament. It might be provincial parliament, it might be federal. But we have people who love Islam. This is related to this 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐫𝐢'𝐚𝐡 issue. I heard so many secular people whom we think that they don't love Islam or the Islamic, but they were also, emotional. It means that if we just produce an act in light of the documents which are already prevailing, and then, lobby and present it to the parliament through some good members, it means that we can bring some change in the legal framework. This will be a big achievement because the hurdle is a legal framework, and this, required some people sitting in front of the laptop or a computer and going through the all document and consult all people who are sitting here and the people who are not sitting here. So this is my brief, a takeaway from the discussion over here. And thank you once again for providing me this opportunity. Yeah.
So nice of you, sir, for your valuable comments. And you talked from legal perspective and constitution. Definitely, where there is will, there is way. If we are having constitutional support, then we are having complete support by which we can execute these kind of agendas, what we intend to do. So now I would like to have comments by Dr. Afrida Abbas on the topic. Please. Okay. So on request of our panelists, first I would like to invite Dr. Tajul Aris bin Ahmad Bukhari to participate, and after him, it will come Dr. Afrida Abbas.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. My co-panelists, brothers and sisters. The topic that I chose is addressing the conflict of jurisdiction between Malaysian civil and Sharia courts in the issuance of the declaration of death a way forward. Yeah. When I submitted my abstract, I didn't know that Dr. Afrida also submitted her abstract in the same topic. So we addressed the same topic, but after that we sit together, we discuss how could we present the topic, and finally we agree I will touch from the constitutional perspective, while Dr. Afrida will talk about from the procedural perspective. Okay, to start with, what is the similarity between Pakistan and Malaysia? Anybody? Pakistan and Malaysia, first, they celebrated their independent days on August. That's number one. Number two, both are Islamic and Muslim countries. Yeah. For your information, we achieved our independence in 1957. In 1956, the British power, they established a Reid Commission. A Reid Commission to discuss the constitution of Malaysia. And one of the members of the Reid Commission is Justice Abdul Hamid from Pakistan. From Pakistan, yeah, Justice Abdul Hamid. In other writings mentioned that Justice Abdul Halim bin Abdul Hamid. Yeah. And the Muslims in Malaysia, we are very indebted to him. Why? Because he's the one who insisted that Islam should be the religion of the Federation. Even though he's alone, in that commission he's alone. But his idea was later accepted by the rulers in Malaysia, and Alhamdulillah, later on is put in our Article 3 that Islam is the religion of Malaysia. So by that, Malaysia can be called as Islamic country, even though the composition between Muslim and non-Muslim in Malaysia, Muslims are about 60% something, and non-Muslims about 30 somethings. But because of that article, we insist that all the legal matters, all the administrative matters should follow Islamic principle. Yeah. So because of that, the Malaysian actually, we want to know more about this Justice Abdul Hamid, because his information in online information is very, very limited. Yeah, if we could, we want to know more about this person. Okay. Apart from that similarity, we have also the differences. Number one, as I said just now, the composition of the Malaysian citizens. Muslims are only about 60 somethings, yeah? 60% something. And number two, in Malaysia, we have duality of law and duality of the court hierarchy. One cater non-Muslim, and number two cater Muslim. Yeah? This is the crux of the problem actually. Yeah. Okay. I take example. If someone is missing, if someone is missing for some times, so the procedure is the family has to apply for decree for presumption of death from the courts. Yeah. And interestingly, both civil law provide the power to the civil court to issue that decree, and the Sharia law also provide the same to the Sharia court to issue that decree. So who actually should declare the decree? So in practice, nowadays in practice, only the civil court actually issue the decree for presumption of death. Yeah? And in Sharia court, they rely on the, they issue the decree for the purpose of the dissolution of marriage only. But if we look at this matter further, there's nothing actually that could prevent the Sharia court from issuing the decree for presumption of death for the purpose of the distribution of estate of the missing person. Nothing actually. Yeah. So lately there are many calls, there are many voices among the Sharia fraternity, so that the Sharia court is given the right to issue this decree for presumption of death, in order to show that Sharia court sit in equal status with the civil courts. Yeah. So for this, yeah, we will look at the section 108 of the Evidence Act, number one, that granted the power to the civil courts, and number two, we look at the section 80 of the Sharia Evidence Act that granted the power to the Sharia Court to issue that decree. That will be addressed by my colleague Dr. Afridah Abbas. But for me, it could be done actually. It could be done, and certain provisions in the civil law could be harmonized with the Islamic principles. Yeah, and of course there are amendments to be made. Yeah, the amendments to be made in our law, constitution to the extreme, as well as providing the same law to the Sharia court in this matter. So for the detail of discussion on Section 80 and Section 108, I leave this to to my friends, Dr. Afridah Abbas. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to the chairman and also to Dr. Tajul. I am Dr. Afridah Abbas from International Islamic University, Malaysia. Actually, my topic is on the harmonizing the civil and Sharia law on the presumption of death in Malaysia. So, as an introduction, I may say that why we need such a judicial decree for the presumption of death of the missing person or mafkud. For the wife, maybe they need such presumption of death in order to dissolve the marriage. Okay, so after waiting for so long or certain period, the wife can apply for the presumption of death, and then that can also become the basis for the dissolution of marriage for under fasakh. Okay, and for the family members, for the legal heirs of the missing person, there is this such judicial decree for presumption of death is important in order to administer the estate of the missing person. Because we know that when the person is missing, it is uncertain actually whether he is still alive or already dead. So that's why we want to apply for the court to presume the death of the person. So the problem is on the waiting period. For the to apply such a presumption. Okay. So as being told by Dr. Tajul, in Malaysia we have dual system as law system of law, and for Muslim, they are governed by Islamic law for personal matters, especially for marriage, divorce, and then for non-Muslim we have civil law. But at the same time, Muslim also subjected to civil law. Certain act or certain law will also govern a Muslim. Okay, so as regard to the presumption of death and waiting period to apply for the presumption of death, we can see the conflict between Islamic law, Islamic statute, Sharia, and the civil law. So I may refer to, because as being told also by Prof. Nur Asia, we have 14 states. It means that we have 14 Sharia Evidence Act or enactment. But basically, we can standardize the waiting period. It is 4 years. Okay, 4 years. Because if we refer to the opinion of the jurists, we can see the differences of opinion among the jurists. Like Hanafi said that we have to wait until 120 years. So if the person is missing at the age of 40 years, they have to wait for another 80 years to apply for the presumption of death. While Shafi'i said that we have to wait for 7 years. Okay, and Ahmad Ibn Hanbal said that 4 years. Okay, so it seems that in Malaysia, we follow the opinion of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, 4 years. Okay, but then, and also if you look to the Islamic Family Law Enactment, or Islamic Family Law Act, it said that for presumption of death can become the ground for dissolution of marriage also is 4 years. Except, if I may say, that for Terengganu, the one state in Malaysia, Terengganu and also Kelantan, they still provide for 7 years waiting period. And then, where is the conflict? Section 108 of the Evidence Act, which govern both Muslim and non-Muslim. So Section 108 provide that in order, or when there is a question of whether the person is still alive or dead, and if the person has not been heard for 7 years, then those who say that he is still alive, he need to prove it. It means that the court can give presumption of death for after 7 years. Okay. So what is the why then? These two provision actually, under Sharia Evidence Act and also Civil or Evidence Act, create problem to Muslims in the sense of, or in the when it comes to the matter of administration of estate. Because it is not clear whether that matter fall under Sharia court or civil court. But so far, the matter of administration of estate, probate and administration of estate actually fall under the high court, the civil court. So for Muslim, even they want to apply for administration of estate, they need to go to high court. So if, let's say, the Muslim had applied for dissolution, for presumption of death under Sharia Evidence Act, after 4 years, then you need to go to civil court to apply for administration of estate, for the estate of the. But then 3 years back, the marriage has been dissolved. So can the wife apply for or get the shares in that estate? Okay. So my suggestion, if Dr. Tajul suggests that the administration of estate should be given to Sharia court, so then Muslim, after 4 years, the Muslim can straight away also apply for the estate. But I look from different perspective that following the saying of Justice Dr. Syed Muhammad Anwar, this morning, he said that the other law should follow Islamic law. So in that case, or in that spirit, I want to suggest that Section 108 should be amended in order to harmonize the waiting period for a Muslim, for the declaration of presumption of death. Because if we look to the history, of course, our Evidence Act follow common law. Actually, it is based on Indian Evidence Act, which was drafted by Sir Stephen James, but it is of course based on common law. Then there is no justification actually why they put, or common law put 7 years. There's no reason. And I think by looking to the present situation, present days, we have a lot of ways to find, or maybe to locate the person, and also to say that the person should be presumed dead. After 4 years, I think it is just a nice and a good a waiting period. Okay, so that's my suggestion. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much.
And thank you to Dr. Afrida. She was talking about the wife of the missing husband, and during her speech, one of my colleagues was saying that what a husband will do if his wife is missing in shopping. So now I would like to share his kind views on this panel discussion topic. Honorable Dr. Professor Dr. Badruddin Haji Ibrahim. Sir, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, our chairman, our respect, my beloved teacher, Professor Tahir. Alhamdulillah, I've studied with him here in IUI, in my LLB as well as my LLM. Okay, so just to be short for my presentations. Just to give the from my perspective of the harmonizations. Harmonization is not the compromise of the Islamic legal system with the other legal system. But what we mean by the harmonizations, we try to bring together the other legal system that not in conflict with the Islamic legal system. So as our Justice Shah has mentioned, our legal system should be the model to the world. Okay, so in this, my focus is on family laws, about right and obligations in marital matters. So in this area, of course, this is a very wide area. I'm not going to discuss all the area in family laws. Of course, these two legal systems have different philosophy, have different background, have different source of law. So whether is it possible to bring these two legal systems together? What do you mean? So we are not going to try that to bring everything together, but we try to bring both legal systems to coexist. So if we have the similarity or compatibility between the Islamic law and the civil law, okay, we can bring together. But if not, so we have to respect. This is about harmonization. We have to respect. This is lakum din wali din. So we have to respect. But
new research horizons are there, being guided by this contribution by our panelists who contributed beautifully. Now I am going to wind it up this panel discussion, and we are going to distribute souvenirs to our respected guests. And meanwhile, I would also like to announce that after completion of this session, lunch would be served, that is ready there. And after this one, we have another session. Then a book ceremony is also there. So now I would like to invite in front of this stage respected Sahibzada Dr. Abul Hasan Muhammad Shah Sahab to give these souvenirs to our respected guests. So first I would like to invite Dr. Badruddin to receive his shield from hand of our respected spiritual leader Sahibzada Dr.